is, one, we all, tend to shoot vertical, which is only great if you're shooting the actual slate, and then you have to switch it once you get in to iMovie. And a lot of casting directors get these things submitted, and the first time it comes across the screen, if it's, less than 3 seconds and they either can't see you or hear you, or your video's weirdly formatted, they're gonna bail. Remember, casting directors have thousands of auditions to go through. So keep that in mind. We're trying to make these as quality as we can. And another tip, watch the video. Watch the video after you finish it. Don't just submit the video before you get to actually see what you've done. Because a lot of times, even for me, I'll go to submit something, and I'm like, oh, let me make sure. I'm watching it, and I forgot to edit out the beginning of my slate or my audition where I messed up, cursed 4 or 5 times, and then said, okay, sorry, Michelle, let's do it again. And I've messed up and submitted that once in the past, and my agent was like, hey, would you mind taking out the F word at the beginning? Sure. So I sent him a separate one and added it at the end. Anyway, so second thing, your iPhones are great. They shoot amazing quality, but the thing that we tend to forget is back here on the camera, if you don't clean the lens, it's gonna look blurry, funky, and out of focus. Like I mentioned earlier, I had jumped on and just Googled people self-tape tips on the iPhone, and one of the most interesting things that I found were 2 of the videos. One of them had like 40,000 views, and the beginning of the video started off blurry. I'm like, why are you teaching them how to do that with a blurry video? So make sure and clean your lens. 2, second tip, when you guys are on your phone and you're about to record something, if you see right here at the top, it says, let me jump over so I can see what this thing is doing for me here. Sorry, hold on one sec. I want to make sure I can see. So up here at the top it says HD 30. If you tap, hold on a second. I don't want you guys not being able to see this, so let me make this minimized a bit. Okay, now we can see. So up there on the top it says HD 30. If you tap this HD 30 situation, oh, you can see my face. If you tap that, it'll change to 4K. We don't need to shoot our auditions in 4K. That's going to give you a humongous video to try to upload and send, and it's going to take you like 3 hours to load your video. And then if casting wants to download it, they're going to be like, no, I'm good. I don't have 4 hours of my life to sit here and watch a video download. So make sure you're only shooting in HD. But what I do recommend is changing that 30 to 60. So think about it this way, it says 30 FPS, frames per second. So if you think about video is just a lot of photos, right? At least old school it was, now it's digital. But frames per second, meaning that there are 30 photos per second. But when you're doing it in 60, you've got 60 photos per second. So you're just gonna up the quality of your video. And even if you don't have the best lighting, it's gonna help out overall. And then when you get into editing, you can kind of tweak things and change the color, which I showed you on the video. Go back and refer to it if you need to. Another one, audio tip. See these little lapel mics? That's what you guys are hearing me on now. Hopefully I sound good and you guys can hear me wonderfully. But I do recommend getting something like that. I also use a directional mic that I think I might have shoved under my desk, so I'm not going to climb down there right now. But it's also linked in the description of this and one of the other ones. Dinah, hey, welcome everybody. I'll probably go, if you guys are on here, I know I have a decent amount running, so if you guys are on here, feel free to chime in. I don't know what you guys heard earlier. I don't mind hanging out longer and starting over if need be. Dinah, I know you just got in. Ashley, you've been hanging out for a second while working. Thank you, Dinah. I'm glad it sounds good. But if you guys, if there's some new people in here, and I don't mind going back over some of this information, I just want to make sure you guys are with it. So yeah, give me a little post in the comments over there. Let me know that you guys are hanging out. and I want to make sure you guys didn't miss any of the stuff we were going over. All right, Austin, what's up, man? You just jump in, or did you catch some of this stuff already? The video I posted, I have a few more tips to kind of help you guys out, so I'm kind of going over those right now. So let me know what you guys heard, where you're at. Now that I think we're at 7 viewers, so that's good. This is the first time I've ever done a live on YouTube. There's a bit of a delay. Perfect, Austin. Great. Ash is trying to do some test while she's listening to me and you were at work. But yeah, so just really quickly, clean your iPhone lens. Tip number 1. Make sure you're shooting in 60 frames per second instead of 30. It'll just update. It'll make the videos faster because, again, 30 frames per second photos per second versus 60 frames per second photos per second. You're just going to get a cleaner, more crisp video. Use these windows as much as you can. Don't have direct sunlight. See this little shiny, oh, this side, this shiny on my nose? If I were like in direct sunlight, it would just be like a sheen, and it's so glossy. So don't do that. Have a window that's not necessarily facing the sun, so you're just getting the light coming through, not necessarily on you. And if you have them on each side, even better, kind of like we talked about, the bounce, that helps out a lot. Other tip was audio tip. I recommend either the little lapel mics, which if you do that, you also need, I have it hooked in my computer right now, but there's a smart tech device that plugs into your phone, and it changes it to now you have an audio and a video, a listening and a mic plug-in. If you have that, that's going to make it much better. It changes your audio to where you're actually hearing it through both speakers. Otherwise, it's just going to come through one speaker if someone's watching it on their iPhone, or if they're watching it on a computer. So make sure you're using that to run a lapel mic. The other option is you can do the same thing but run it through a directional mic. That helps out a lot too. You don't have to like block out everything. Thank you. Thanks, Greg. So keep in mind, those are some of my quick tips. Oh, other one. We talked about locking your phone. Also, so let's see if I can do this so you can see me this way. One of the things I always want to do is I want to, bam, see this square that locks up? And it will lock the light. You can also do this to increase light if there's not enough in your room. Don't go too much because obviously you're going to blow it out. Make sure it's kind of right in the middle. I'm sorry, I'm doing this backwards. So if you tap that, it'll have that little thing that comes up which says AEAF lock, autofocus, and it makes it where your light's not going to be jumping back and forth. Like even on this, because I'm using the computer's camera to do this live, if I move around, do you see it's trying to make up the difference, and you don't want that going on in your audition. Obviously these auditions need to be focused on you. I want to be focused on nothing but you. That's why even with the lapel mic, I prefer a directional mic because I don't want anybody seeing this. You can hide it or do something of that nature, which is helpful. But make sure that you're the focus. Even like wardrobe, all the way from earrings for girls, make sure that the focus is you and there's not a lot going on in the background. This light back here, it's great for YouTube because it looks neat. I don't put lights behind me necessarily unless it's my third light that's helping blow out some of the shadows that would be me coming from my other 2 lights that I usually have set up. Okay. So if I have 2 lights set up on each side, which you guys can go check the other video I have about 3-point lighting, this is going to light this side and this will light this side. One is a little bit closer, the other one's backed off a bit, so it's not just like, super even. It causes a little more of a film look. So those are a couple things to keep in mind. Submit early. I think that's just across the board. These are some tips. I know we talked about tripods. Also, make sure your tripod is at eye level, not looking up at your nostrils or above you, because that's weird too, and it's like that kind of thing. So make sure that your tripod's about eye level. I usually try to take 3 great killer takes every time I do it with a few different choices. So when I get into the post side of things and editing, I've got 3 different videos and 3 different takes of the scene that may change something for me, and it may really give me this. It'll give me the option of going, okay, cool, this one's a little tougher, and maybe I use that as my first and second take. A lot of casting directors want you to have 2 or 3 takes when you submit, especially if it's a short scene or you've got a couple lines. They want to see you do it a few times, just to give them options. And something to think about is, like, when you're casting a film or you're directing a film, especially now during this pandemic life, as a director, I only get to see what you submit. So I'm not in the room with you. I don't get to say, that was a great take, now let's do it again, and let's bring up more emotion, or let's tweak the relationship, or any of those things. But as the actor submitting a tape to a director, I know if I give you a few takes, you get to see that I have room to maneuver, right? Versus if I'm the director and I only get 1 take, I don't really know that you can take direction well. When you guys are in the room, a lot of times you're going to have a casting director give you a redirect for the audition that you just did. And even though the audition might have been great, you might have killed it, you might have given a really good read, they might say, okay, great, now let's try it like this. That doesn't mean that your read was bad. That just means that they want to know that you can take direction, and the director wants to know when he has you on set, you're not stuck. Right? That's why, for me as a coach, most of you guys probably have seen some of the ways that I focus on acting, and how I coach acting is a little bit different, but I want to know that you have the freedom to maneuver. I want to know that you can be pushed and shoved, and that you're going to be able to go with the moment, not necessarily only give me the performance that you've already prepared and worked on, because if we get on set and we change it, now you're still stuck doing the same thing. And again, when I'm on set as a director, the last thing I want to do is try to fight with an actor. I've got enough stuff to worry about with, the DP, the shots, what's going on before this, after this, where this is going to match into, lunch. So keep that in mind. We always want to submit a few different takes, and we want to give ourselves those options. One thing that I like to do when I'm prepping a scene is I'll do my audition just insanely huge. This is preparation. I do not submit these. I'll do an audition humongous, right? I'll just do it like a theater audition. I'm doing it humongous and big and emotional, and then I'll do one really quiet and specific and focused, so that now I've given the scene its freedom, right, to expand or contract depending on what the actual moment is going on, what my real moment before and character work allows me to bring up. So I don't want to be stuck in one performance, and I don't want to have the scene so prepared that that's the only way I can do it. Because again, once I get on set, I've got to be live with another human. I've got to be able to live and react and act off of them. So that's one of my other tips. Make sure and give you guys some freedom in your auditions, and you can decide which take you want to submit later. Watch your video. I already said that. Make sure it's quiet. Turn off your air conditioner. You guys might be able to hear right now if I lean in. My this is really close. I'm sorry, but my computer is making its noise because it's getting hot because I got a lot going on. Make sure you turn off as much as you can when you're recording. Clean background. Again, like I said, that light is not going to be there for my auditions. It's out of the way. You don't really see it. The panels I'm not too worried about. These, by the way, are I made these, but you can order, which I have some links in the video and the description of this down below, some sound things that you can stick on the wall to kind of dampen some of it so it's not so echoey. It's like auditioning in a bathroom. Last thing you want to hear is all the different... So make sure it's really quiet and you've got some of that stuff taken care of ahead of time. And we said tripods at eye level. And another thing, a lot of actors like to use for their background, I love gray because I can tweak it, and you can go watch one of the other videos where I talk about that. I can tweak this to make it fit the tone or the genre of the TV show or the film that I'm doing. And Austin, I will jump on to critiquing some real stuff. And yeah, I would love to do a live critique of some reels. That'd be cool. So yeah, I'm going to set this up in a different way so I can jump around. Today was quick, so I'm just recording from my computer screen. I'm going to set my Sony up later so that I'll be able to jump back and forth from my computer screen so you guys can see it as well. So yeah, I would love to do that. I also am thinking about doing some lives of, like, 2-page Tuesday, and you guys can submit some auditions of the pages we've already talked about, and I will go over the critiques on that while we're doing it. So yeah, back to these. I don't mind this kind of stuff behind me. I just don't want a lot of busy. If you guys are going to use a sheet or something of that nature, make sure you iron the sheet and that it's clean and crisp behind you, because otherwise it's like a bunch of stuff going on, especially if you're shooting on an iPhone or something of that nature. If you're shooting on the Sony A7III, that's my man. That's what I shoot on now. Sometimes depending, if I'm auditioning for film versus television, I'll even throw like an 85mm lens on it just to make it so pretty. I mean, think about it from a director's or a creative's point of view. If you're going to submit an audition that makes me feel like this is already the movie and I'm just like in it with you, it upgrades the audition. I'm not saying you have to have a Sony and you have to shoot on an 85mm film, 85mm lens. I'm just saying that the more crisp and close to what they want to see is in your video, the better it helps them. They're more focused on you. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to set up later on for some of that stuff. The A7 is great because it adds a little bouquet to the background. It takes out, not everything is in focus. The same with the iPhone. If you punch in, it'll add a little bit of out of focus stuff behind you. I always try to get off the back wall as much as you can instead of like standing on the wall, because when I'm on it, I tend to get shadow. See the shadow here? And the last thing I want is me doing an audition while I'm battling my shadow behind me. So keep that in mind when you guys are doing stuff. Any other questions from you guys that are popping up while we're kind of running through this stuff? I'm here to hang out for a bit. Charlie is getting managed by Mama, so I'm here. What do you guys got? I also like the Canon T3. Any of the series from Canon that has the eye behind it allows me to move the monitor that's connected to the camera around. I don't have that with the Sony, but there is, and Austin, hopefully you use it. If not, this is great. It is called, I'll pull it up for you right now. It's called Camrote. Let me get that close so you can see it. This right here. This thing's great because I can see what my camera is seeing when I'm auditioning or taking photos or whatever from my phone, instead of having to take a photo and run back around, or video and run back around. It's okay, Dinah. You don't have to be super tech savvy, and that's what these videos are for. I want it to be as easy as possible. This career and this craft is already such an interesting line of work. And it used to be that we only had to focus on our craft. Who didn't tell me about this whatever thing's going on here? Who didn't want to tell me about that? All right, anyway. So what I do for these and why I'm making these videos, why I'm going to start doing more lives for you guys, I'm also going to make a series of just like audition prep. I'm going to do a series that is just courses on the technical aspects of acting. For me, techniques are super important because they eventually kind of do away with themselves. That's what they're for, right? So I'm going to do a series and a course. You guys can just buy it and work it on your own schedule and do things like that. But I'm going to jump on this as much as I can now. So if you haven't subscribed and hit the little bell button, do so you'll know when I'm going live. I'll try to jump on Instagram when I can to let you guys know I'm going to do it. Camrote, C-A-M, sorry, we're talking about the, Austin was asking, he shoots on a Sony A7 III as well. And it has an app called Camrote. Looks like this once you open it, and you can do that to connect to your camera so you can see it. The app looks like that. C-A-M-R-O-T-E. Download that. That's super helpful. Absolutely, Greg. Greg, any questions as we've been going through? I know I'm kind of throwing a lot of stuff at you guys, but again, it's a video, so you can go back and watch it. I'm going to try to make this this live as a post as well, so you guys can go back and check all this stuff out. And I have a bit of a lag on my side, so as the questions pop through, if I don't jump right on it, that's why. Yeah. If I had any other quick tips for you guys, let's jump into just kind of acting notes in general when you're auditioning. Most of you guys are probably aware, but that first couple seconds of your audition, you need to be freaking on it, right? Wallpaper. Oh, the one down there? I don't know. Anyway, thank you, Dinah. Gotcha. Yeah, the other one I used to use, Austin, was called something else, and it stopped working on me, so I added that. So when you guys are prepping your auditions, that first couple seconds is so super important. So if you don't know what the moment before is, learn it. I will do a video specifically on just moment before. To me, moment before is the most powerful thing for being on set, for your auditions, because as a casting director, I don't want to see you, slowly jumping into the lines, or if you can find a reason to be, oh, thank you. Yeah, that's my background right there, the bug. So I don't want to watch you guys slowly getting into the scene or doing some lines. If right off the bat you don't catch my attention, I'm probably going to move on, because again, I'm looking at thousands and thousands of auditions that are coming in. So I want to know that, one, it's shot quality. I can see you. You're competent. And that's the main thing about that beginning first 5 seconds. I try to find a reason that I can start as much. Again, I'm never looking at camera, but I want to start off anything I can that's as close to this as I can, so that you can get involved with my eyes right at the beginning. Or I'm going to enter to start the scene if the scene calls for something that's entering. If I'm already there, fine. But I want to start off so in it and involved. I like to call it my, again, I'm trying not to cuss on YouTube, but my what the button. If I don't give my what the enough, if I don't have enough given, then when I start, it's going to look like an actor acting, and I want to be so involved and focused, and attention given, right? I want my attention to be involved, because that's going to bring the casting director into this. We'll also talk about fourth wall and some of these things, which is an old school stage thing, the fourth wall, but we use it as actors now for film and television, because our fourth wall is now wherever the camera's at, wherever it's moving. And I want to create some stuff out here that brings you in. So if I come into the scene and I'm looking at something, I want you to be like, oh, what's he looking at, right? I don't want to come in and be like, I want to come in and be right on that thing that I'm dealing with. So that's just a quick note on moment before. So I'm going to jump into some questions. In order you to get into character, does that make sense? Yes, Ashley, that does make sense. I'll jump into that. Audition for stage but not for film. Be there already. Yes. I even, when I'm going into the audition room, if I've never met this casting director before and the character has an accent, I'm entering as close to character as I can. Now, if I'm playing a serial killer, I'm partially there. But I want to be so involved in whatever's going on that when I leave the room or we finish, I want you to question, is that him normally? I had a producer director ask me one time after the audition some personal questions, because the character was different than I was, so he was just curious about me. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not. So yeah, I want them to see me fully as this human being. I don't want you to think I'm a magician, right? So think about what magic does. The magician comes in and shows you this badass magic trick, and you're like, wow. Then maybe he can show you how it's done. But imagine if magicians always came in and said, okay, here's how the magic trick's gonna work, and then they show you the magic trick. Okay, I have to suspend my disbelief. I have to forget everything that I know about you to start. I have to forget that you had a Southern accent to begin and now you have an English accent, right? I have to try to get over that, and I don't like doing that for casting. Let me jump into Ash's question. Do I have a specific process in order to get into character? So when I'm breaking down character, and most of you guys hopefully understand this, but when I'm breaking down character, I've got a full script, right? Assuming I've got the script. Let's say for auditions, I don't have the full script. I've only got these 2 pages. So I want to pull everything I can from these 2 pages. I want to know the facts that I've been given in the script for this human being. And I love saying human being versus character, because character means I'm having to play something or act something. A human being is us. We need to find that point of view from a loving point of view instead of like, you know, for instance, I always use Hitler as an example. Hitler didn't think he was doing things wrong. Hitler thought what he was doing out of love. He was trying to help his people and grow this world because he wanted to get rid of this race that he didn't think was worthy, and he thought that they were messing up, right? So to him, he was doing this from a loving place. And for me, like I say, I always talk about life and acting in the same. I always want to try to find the aspect coming from love. As the character, what is it that I love? So from Hitler's point of view, he loved a certain race and he loved the world around him, and he wanted to help everyone else have such a wonderful life that they didn't have to deal with this other race that he thought was not worthy or was not right, or, you know, whatever it is. So I'm always trying to find the point of view from love, and that's the thing to me that helps us find character so much deeper. Again, once I found these things within the 2 pages that I've dealt with, and I've got breakdowns that help me kind of figure out all these things, which we'll go through, and the course I'm going to launch will also help you guys. It'll give you a page that'll kind of, you know, give you a bunch of questions to figure out. But think about it from this point of view. If I understand that the character is in love with this other human being, then really what I'm just trying to do is be in love with this human being. I don't need to convince you that I'm a character. Me, as a human, I have certain things that I've grown up with and they've affected me, right? They affected who I am now. So I want to understand what this human being, the character, has gone through in his life. What are the things that have changed that aspect for him? And I'm trying to change my perspective, my point of view, closer to his point of view, or allowing me to have that point of view, because that automatically changes, sorry, I'm tapping the mic, that automatically changes me, right? You don't have to become a character. What if you had those views? Then it's you as if. There's no acting. That's why I'm not even a big fan of the word performance. And the first time I usually work with an actor, I make you give me 4 or 5 words that is acting to you, and then we kind of go through that and we break it down, right? If you say performing is something you think of as an actor, okay, well, let's talk about performing. That's great for the stage. I've got to reach so many people. I've got to, you know, shout to the back of the room and hit the backstage, all these other things. And that's performance. But as a film and television actor, I have to bring you truth. So if my focus is truth, it's not a performance. I'm truthfully trying to be in this moment-to-moment aspect so that I can live truthfully off of these things. Charlie's knocking on the door. So let me jump into some other questions here. Yes, Alex, it's all me. You look a bit tired. You know what? Take your compliments somewhere else, Alex. Yes, the Southern accent. Right, those are the best villains that think they're doing good. Absolutely, Austin. I really love playing those characters that people think are just mean and horrible or nasty, because most actors are going to screw that up. They're going to come bring you this evil person, and they're not. They don't think they're evil from their point of view. Younger brother booked his first film gig this week. That's awesome. Congratulations. We're both theater guys, 40+ shows. Awesome. And I know that film can be quite different, and I know he would greatly appreciate any tips. One of the things I stick to when I'm talking about theater of an introduction, I like to say theater is like a lion, right? I'm walking in the room ready to eat as a lion, right? I'm in there. You know, I will you up if you mess with me, right? That's the intimidation of a lion in a theater. You know that lion's a badass. You feel it. They're humongous already. They've got this huge mane. That's the version of feline that is a theater feline, right? This is weird. Now think about a house cat. House cat seems unassuming. House cat's fine. He doesn't even care about you most of the time. But if you, with that house cat, bow, he's already slapped you and doesn't even care anymore. Meaning that the house cat is condensed, right? I'm more focused. The theater, I've got this humongous thing and I'm way back here and open to the whole thing that I've got to do. I can go this way and that way. But in film and television, majority of us, we're in a close-up right here. So if I'm in a close-up and I'm even making big faces, it's a little crazy. If I look all the way here, you lose me. So I always try to slowly condense that thing. And for me, it's about focus and attention. I get more specific when it comes to film and television versus the theater, where I can kind of keep this broadness open. And tell your brother to come jump on. We will definitely go through any specific questions. I love helping theater actors find that muscle memory for film and television. And something you can also keep in mind for this when it comes to theater versus film and television. For film and television, I am fitting into a very small thing, right? The theater, again, I'm trying to make everything happen. Film and television, I have someone following me, always. I am just going for truth. And for the theater, Eli, do you know when you're just about to begin and you jump into character and there's just like this on button that takes over as a theater actor? Well, for film and television, I may tell you get rid of that on button. Just be here, be present, be aware. Don't turn on, because when you turn on, technically you're leaving, right? You're going away and becoming something else. I'm allowing the character traits and things to affect me, but it's still me as if. So I don't lose my personability. And a lot of this will come into the techniques and some of the stuff that we really focus in on with relationships and this background and things of that nature. But for film, I'm just allowing things to happen. The theater, I have to kind of make them happen. And if, I know it's kind of these little detailed mental things, but I hope that kind of makes a little bit of sense. Greg, how much research do you typically do before auditioning? In your opinion, can you over-research or over-prepare? Sure. I think it kind of depends on what we're auditioning for and what our focus is, right? So if I'm auditioning for a feature film project and I've got a full script, I've got a lot more work that I can do, versus if I'm auditioning for NCIS and there's a video on YouTube that I have up that talks about going in to read as the pizza guy, and they answer the door and the pizza guy steps up and he's like, "Hey, here's your pepperoni pizza. It's gonna be $14.95. Thanks for the pizza. Have a good day." "Yeah, you have a good day." He leaves and goes back to his thing, right? There's a lot going on there. Well, why? Why is there so much going on? Versus, most likely, it's really just you as is. So I walk in, "Hey, here's your pizza. Pepperoni order is $14.95. Thanks, man. Have a good day." And I leave. That's just me delivering a pizza. All the extra work, because, especially if you come from a background where you're used to doing character work, and you take this pizza delivery guy, and all of a sudden, the guy that I was working with, his explanation for the pizza delivery guy was, my backstory is that my dad owns this pizza place, and his parents used to own it, and they sold it to him because his mother and father would always argue over the pizza place, and that caused them to have a divorce. So now I hate pizza. Okay. What if you're just a pothead that delivers pizza for a day job, and your only objective is to get home and smoke some more pot? That was it, right? And all of a sudden you become a human that just has one need, one specific thing that you want to do. It has nothing to do with what you're doing right now. So it condenses, it becomes a simple little situation. Sorry, jumping into questions here. Do you prefer using iPhone to film auditions or other camera setups? Other camera setups every day of the week. I love my iPhone if I'm traveling and I have to use it, but I have a SONY A7 III, and it just makes auditions beautiful. I put a directional mic on it, and it's already got some built-in audio that goes with it. It's less work, it's less grainy. I would say camera setup every day of the week. There is a video before this where I kind of cover buying and setting up your audition room with equipment. Go check that one out, Dinah, because you can see the difference between the auditions with that versus the iPhone. Or you can watch the one we just had that went up. You'll see the auditions on that, and there's a little bit of grain to them versus the ones that are in the intro for one of the other ones where I'm auditioning. They're just so crisp and clean, and I don't want you to hesitate when you watch me on an audition. I want you to just feel like you're watching the movie or the TV show that I'm about to audition for. How often do you cater for an audition with your facial hair? I find myself doing a lot and can't tell if it's working or not. Austin, that's tough, especially in the Southeast, because we have a little more freedom than some actors out of LA. I lived in Los Angeles for a long time, and back in the day, it was like you had one headshot that you used, and that covered all of them. You only had a bunch of headshots if you were an extra, and you're like, the cop and the fireman, and all the random stuff like that. But I do find that I now have one that I keep my beard, even like a longer beard, and then I have a clean shaven. If it's of course this is specific from everyone, and Austin, if you ever want to just do a career consultation and we can go over some of the specifics for you, we can do that. But I always try to keep it a little bit no matter what, because I can always shave for an audition. I can't just sprout this thing out and grow a beard. So I'll keep it and then kind of tweak accordingly. But for me, there are characters that can have a beard, and there are characters that can't. There are human beings. It's like there are human beings that love to drink wine, and there are human beings that love to drink beer. Those two human beings are usually pretty different in a lot of aspects of life. So the same with the beard. I love having them so that my agent has the freedom to be able to submit for both depending on what's coming up. And I know that if I want to keep the beard and it's a smaller audition or something and I'm not too worried about booking one way or the other, I may leave the beard. This sounds bad. I didn't shave one time for an audition because I didn't want Charlie to not know who the hell I was, because she had just gotten used to, she's one, so she's always seen me with a beard and a bigger beard than this. So if I shaved, she was going to be like, who the heck are you? So yeah, it's kind of a personal thing for that. But yeah, I do recommend having headshots for both so that you have that freedom, especially for your agent to submit for you. And then in the auditions, I do both. Okay. Bug's going to take her nap. I hope that helps. Lion versus house cat. Yeah, I hope that helps, Eli. And like I said, you're welcome to bring your brother back. Or if you guys both want to jump on, we can do a private at some point. I do private lessons here and there. I've been trying to slowly move into doing more videos so I can help more people. And maybe even I do those live as well to help everyone. What mic are you using? Right now, I have a little lapel mic. If you go to this video, there should be in the comments below. I have a couple linked in there and in some of the previous videos as well. And then a lot of times I use a directional mic. Movo has some really good directional mics and some really good lapel mics. What would you say was your favorite role to audition for? What types of roles do you typically like to audition for? Someone asked me the other day what would be like my favorite role to play, because they were working with something and they wanted me to do it with them. I really don't know until I get the role. Because of the way 2020 was going, there were a lot of cop roles that I just didn't want to take. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to play those roles. And of course, you have that option as you continue to work. If you're new to acting, you may just be like, all right, I'm just going to play the role. I have some buddies that they are known as the racist a-hole, and those are the roles they play. I say as new actors, figure out your main two max of character types that you really go for. And Austin, this is a good note as well. If you already have, you play a cop all the time, casting directors bring you in as a cop all the time, and you really just come across as a cop, well then, I want to make sure my headshot says cop, and I'm going to, most of the time, audition in that same kind of type, so that casting knows who to call when they need a cop, right? The more you work, the more they can go, oh, okay, cool, I can see that he has all these different things. But at first, I want to stick to that niche, as they say. Niche, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I don't really have a specific role I like playing as when it comes to that. I I do say sometimes I really love comedy. And if it was something that I had to do as like a TV show that I was going to be on for a few years, I may prefer it to be a comedy, just because, you know, going into a dark place all the time can suck for short terms. So I don't want to. I've come into my house before after filming or after doing an audition as a not so good human being. I'm all about vibrations and I love science and spirituality. So if I come in with a bad vibe, I have had my dog bark my ace back out the door. I had to like woo-saw for a bit in my car and then come back and he's like, "Oh, hey Dad, what's up?" But before, no, he was like, "Whatever that funk is, get out." So yeah, I guess for the long term, I would love doing comedy because it allows me to stay in that upbeat, happy-go-lucky kind of thing, and I understand how our lives are affected by our thoughts and what we create nonstop. Which I'm going to do some videos on that as well because that's where my heart's at. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense. Austin, do you suggest sticking with your typecast until you make it, or break the chain of constant roles now? I say break the chain when it comes to like indies and there's some room for you to do something. If it's a casting director, you don't deal with that often, that kind of stuff. But either way, I'm going to give my best foot forward, right? If I get the audition, most likely I'm going to do it if I can put my all and I feel like I'm giving you something that makes sense. If I get an audition, I'm like, man, I just don't think I can get to what I feel is confident for me, I may turn the audition down because I don't want to submit something to a casting director that's going to see something and go, "Ooh, okay, maybe he's not that good." I always want to have that best foot forward. So, you know, that's kind of what I stick to. Good point. Your role sort of defines how the viewers see you. If I watch someone play a country role named Blake, I'm going to remember them as that character. Thank you, Ash. I appreciate that. But yeah, Ashley, you've seen you know, a plethora of roles from me now. And I have. Luckily, I've been able to kind of mix up a lot of the things. But here's something to keep in mind for you guys, and this might help too. Austin, when I first started acting, I thought I was a character actor, right? I didn't think of myself as like the leading man, good-looking dude. If I had to play a guy that was good-looking, I entered the room like this. I was like, I'm good-looking now. What are you doing? I'm being good-looking. Okay, well, stop doing whatever you're doing. Oh, okay. It took me a while to figure that out. I probably wasted a good 3 to 4 years of my career trying to be a character actor, even though I'm auditioning, you know, for humongous roles that were leading men. And I think I had to hone that myself and figure out what it was that I had to do to let go and just be, right? Once we understand who we are, we're able to bring that in almost every role to some level. For movies like In Trip, how do you get into the dark place? Do you find it hard to transition from real life to the role you were doing? There's a lot of preparation in that, Greg, and we can do some, like I said, we'll do some videos about that too, and I'm going to put a course together that really kind of focuses in. I love character work. I love finding those things. But to me, in reality, it's finding that thing that makes you tick, right? Me personally, as Dean, I love positivity. I love love. I love being able to affect and help people in a positive way. So if I were going to play the character of me, I would try to find that. What is the thing that allows me to be excited about helping others and having that loving quality exude from me? So when it came to In Trip, which you guys haven't seen it already, I think it's on Tubi and Amazon and a bunch of other places. End Trip, ENDTRIP. Fun movie, interesting. We produced it as well, so it was a fun one to do. But for End Trip, he was a really dark human being. But if you watch the movie, he was a dark human being that had some mental things going on as well. So I kind of just had to allow myself to play, and a lot of time for character, I can't get an audition and then just then try to, you know, become English or Irish. meaning that if I've never played an Irish guy before, or I've never actually played with an Irish accent before, I can't just learn an Irish accent within 5 seconds, right? I had to have already been working on it. I like to play by myself or at Walmart because no one cares there. Everyone's weird at Walmart, I feel. So I like to allow myself to play within that world of different characters already, so that when I get a role, I'm like, oh, that's, Teddy the Irish guy that I've already got a bit of a character built for. It's like when I play an English character, for whatever reason, and maybe it's just the character that I built at some point in my life, the English guy already has a bit of this like arrogance and smartassness to him, so that tends to get pushed into some of them. And obviously, if the role calls for something else, we tweak it. But yeah, I like to play a lot ahead of time. I constantly get cast in westerns. It's my background in western skills and reputation, but it's hard to break that. Yeah, I mean, that might take a different headshot. It's okay if that's what's on your resume. I mean, hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. I love westerns. One of my favorite movies is a western. Let's see if you can guess what it is. You can probably guess. But yeah, so the one way to maybe kind of break out of that is find a show that you feel you fit really well for, that maybe casts close to you, and a casting director that is near you. Make a specific headshot that fits within that genre tone of that TV show, and talk with your agent about trying to focus on getting something in that show. And if you don't already have a reel that shows some different aspects, if your reel only shows westerns, I mean, what do you expect, right? Shoot some indies, create some stuff with your friends, find a way to make some new things that can go on your reel that is showing a different aspect of you, so that you can now focus into that. And I always say, if you're gonna shoot reels, I used to do that for my actors. If you're gonna shoot a reel, make sure you're shooting 3 scenes or 3 roles that fit you really well. Don't try to go all out of the box and create something that's not there. Thank you. Brilliant movie. You're fantastic in that. I've seen that movie maybe 30 times. Oh, thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. That really makes me feel good, man. See, who's your favorite best actor and best actress who ever won an Oscar? Michelle is a blogger, an influencer, and an actress, but she is not a photographer. I'm the photographer in the crew. My favorite actor? That's tough. I put actors in different kind of sections. I always look at it this way. If I'm talking about someone like Tom Cruise, let me rephrase that. If I'm talking about someone like Johnny Depp, I find Johnny Depp is brilliant when it comes to the entertainment of character, right? I always find that there's an extra, I know there's not much of him in there. There's just this fun that he likes to do, and he likes that because it's not a judgment of himself. He kind of gets to, cover up by character. I tend to really enjoy an actress, someone like Meryl Streep, that doesn't necessarily cover up with character, but opens up with character, meaning they find it from within versus, covers up from the outside. Because I find more truth and connectivity to a human being that is finding character from within versus just kind of throwing the blanket on. Is it hard to find people who aren't yes friends? Like, tell me what you can see me playing, not what you think I want to hear. Yeah, I did a class for actors where, a lot of the actors didn't necessarily know each other, and each actor would go in front of the class and we'd go through some questions for everyone, and they would write down 4 or 5 things, like, I would always see you playing this. If I first met you, I thought this. The first time I met you, I think. When I see you, I could see you playing. And then we kind of consolidated. And there was also like a list of archetypes, is this guy the jester, or is he a knight? And by doing that, it allowed us to kind of condense what and who we thought we best fit, or that people thought we best fit, so that we could kind of do it that way. Yeah, it's kind of hard to find friends that can do it because they want to be nice and tell you what they think, and sometimes that's not true. Al Pacino's fantastic. Tom Hanks is great too. Meryl Streep's fantastical. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up right now. I had a great time. Hopefully we can come back and do this again later. I have some other videos coming out soon, so if you haven't subscribed and hit the old bell, do so. Please feel free to share this with any friends on Instagram or wherever. Send them my way. Like I said, I'm going to try to put a course out soon that will also help people from the beginning all the way through. Dinah, what's been the hardest change to get used to within the industry since COVID? Not working? I'm kidding. I think momentum has kind of hit me with COVID, right? I feel like we all kind of go through these mental ups and downs, of course, and with this pandemic life, it's been even rougher because there's so much stuff that's affecting us. But I feel like the momentum of how auditions come in, of just kind of trickling. So, and this is something you guys don't necessarily have to worry about depending on where your career is right now, but you know, I don't audition a lot for co-stars anymore. I only audition for, you know, recurrings, our series regulars, or things of that nature. And for film, I'll sometimes do smaller roles, but I don't get as much out of them, and I just enjoy something that really kind of pushes me. So that being said, it's not that I have a flood of auditions when we're normally doing, but say we're getting 4 to 5 auditions a week. We're staying consistent, we're constantly going, right? Versus now with pandemic life, they kind of trickle in here and there. So it's like, oh yeah, acting. Okay, let me get back on that. So what I would say to help with that is, you know, pick up a 1-page audition at least once a week, every couple days. Get off book, let your friends read it with you. You can tape it with your iPhone sitting in a window, something of that nature, but give yourself something to do and continue building and working on this craft, or come up with some cool scenes or sketches. Build your social media right now, because it's so important at this point in life, which I'll do some videos about social media and how to kind of build that as well, and build that following, so that you guys have, you know, a fan base of your own that you're slowly building that wants to watch you do little sketches and skits and things of that nature. Anyway, I hope all this helps. See you guys again on the next one. Again, you've got that. You've got this right here that is my links on Instagram and everything. So feel free to jump on there. Again, don't smash the